facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Beautiful, beautiful day, you beautiful people, you beautiful souls. I'm so excited to have you here with me today. This is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. We're on this extraordinary win-win-win.com and win-win-win.tv live show, and soon to be on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and on all the podcast stations. I mean, we're expanding here, so looking so forward to that. Keep your eyes open for that. And I am so honored and thankful that you are here with me today. So I always start with my breathing exercise. It's 7-4-11. Okay, 7 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 11 seconds out. Calm in, gratitude out, and it just helps us get centered and get started here on it and settled on this journey. So if you'll join me, please, we're going to go 7 seconds in, breathing in. Ready? Hold. Breathe out. Thank you. Thank you. Gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. I hope you join me for that. That's a mini meditation you can do anytime to get more grounded and settled, because our world is a little not settled right now. So, I'm going to be here for about half an hour talking. And if you hang on to the end, 30 minutes or so, and we'll have a little conversation. If you want to have a conversation, it'll be recorded. It probably won't be on replays unless it's excellent, but we will have a conversation. And we can talk about ideas, suggestions, the topic of transitions that we're having today, kind criticisms, whatever it works for you. But feel free to chat in the Zoom chat, and then or make comments on the Facebook page. I'm really looking forward to reading anything you have to say. And so we're talking transitions today. We're all in transition, and I don't know that we always recognize that. But the one thing I know for sure is the only thing constant is change. And that's an old, loosely quoted from an old ancient Greek, those brilliant Greek philosophers, right? And as I wind down my 6th decade of life, a lot of people are probably slowing down, and I'm actually gearing up here because my current life is a bit chaotic and certainly not settled. And most of my life has felt that way. So I started thinking about this. Some questions came to me like, do we ever get to go, I made it, it's done, I'm finally home, and I get to live happily ever after? Do you think that moment ever comes? I'm guessing until I begin pushing up daisies, I might as well accept the fact that life keeps lifing. And I know that I am going to be learning and playing and loving and giving and all of that with everything in me. So what about you? Are you happily settled? Are you living happily ever after? Are you still creating the life you deserve because you do? Or are you resigned that this is all there is? Are you living in fear? Good questions to ask, because they're not good questions. Those are not good places to be, right? So while I was pondering all this about yet another transition, as I started reliving some of mine. And I also considered that some of the constants that have been the glue that have held constant throughout my transitions and throughout my life. So, being a flight attendant, I was a flight attendant for 34 years, and that certainly influenced my view on change, the constancy of change. There's rarely a dull moment in the world of travel. And we called it hurry up and wait. I mean, there was so much rush, 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 and then wait, wait, wait. And that became the constant hurry and wait. And it's still, I'm guessing, that way out in the travel world, but flexibility is imperative. And this is curious to me why so many of my peers at the time were always unhappy when some change came down the road, like they changed the galley setup or this policy of this or that. I just thought that I found that kind of curious because we had to be flexible. So this caused me. So what I'm going to do now is just bullet point my life, bullet point some of my major transitions. And I believe it's going to give some context about my story, the next story I tell, because it's a very personal one. And then we'll follow up by adding some constants that help me through all my transitions, and maybe they'll help you. So parents. So here's just bullet points. My parents divorced when I was 6. I have 10 and 9-year older sisters and a 4-year younger sister that played into the story. Relatively happy childhood. And then I was hired by Delta Airlines in 1974, the dream job. And I got transferred from my comfortable Southern Houston to Chicago. They all thought I had horses and oil wells in my yard, and I thought they were all mafia. I don't know. That's the media's done a job for us, right? Got married a year after started flying. Ultimately, we had a Valentine's stillborn baby named Sarah. We had 3 beautiful kids, a nice life. Ultimately divorced after 17 years, had a remarriage, moved back to DFW and had 3 stepkids. So we had 6 kids. And then I retired in 2008, got divorced after 18 years, married my whole life, it seems like, right? Had radio and TV shows. When intriguing opportunities present themselves and you say yes, things show up. That's kind of one of my most favorite sayings. And radio and TV shows, crazy. But I had some of that going on. And then I went on a little 6 weeks trek in the end of 2017 around the country and I ended up getting robbed at gunpoint. The trek was planned. The robbing wasn't, but I stepped towards the gun and said, "You need love." And I had no fear. And they ran. So the no fear is the big part. I will be writing a book about that soon. I ended up moving back upstairs with my ex-husband, all the boxes, all the crazy time at the end of 2017. I ended up publishing my little book, Candy Bar Hugs. It doesn't take much to make a difference. Then lived in the house we raised our kids in, repurchased the house back from my ex-husband. And then, adults, kids were in and out, some friends coming in and staying. It's been a transition for sure, lots of them. And currently I have a 15-and-a-half-month-old delight, love of my life, grand toddler that is here, and her mom and her entourage, and we just added a 3rd dog and a cat are here, and 3 step grandchildren were here recently. And so all this is the reason I'm telling you this. This is why we have this topic. And then this year started a new TV show. Here we are. 3 more books being published, going to republish Candy Bar Hugs. And here I am moving into the podcasting world as well. So I know none of that matters to you. Why does my crazy life that I call normal chaos? Why am I telling you all that? Really, because I don't know why I feel so compelled to tell this story, this very personal story. I'm not sure. And I don't know why. I don't know the purpose. I don't know how it's going to make a difference in your world that I'm sharing it. But creating that snapshot of my life helped me kind of get my bearings around the story and the transition that happened as an adult, the 2 pieces of that story that come together. And so my gut is kind of flip-flopping. I'm very vulnerable because I'm getting ready to tell a childhood secret that I don't know that I've ever mentioned out loud. I don't know. Uh, it feels so vulnerable, and I hope that there is someone out here that matters, that the story matters to, and you can relate. So I'll just tell it. So when I was a little child, when I was little, I was called the love child. Now, this was in the 50s. It was before the love children of the 60s. So maybe I was the original, right? I don't know. I hadn't thought about that until today. But because my sisters were 10 and 9 years older, I was the little new doll, the new, kid, the new child. And I was doted on. And my next door neighbors did not have children. They adored me. They called me Chihuahua. They named me. They took me places. I was just their little baby, right? And my mom allowed them to just take me. We would go to Galveston and do night fishing, and we would go to the Alamo. We went to the rodeo. They took me places. I was over there all the time, and they had a piano, and just great neighbors, and to be, partially raised by them. Pat and Paul, loved them dearly. But they doted on me. They all doted on me. And during all I was an extremely shy child, mortifyingly shy. And so all the things that they did to me, but occasionally they would take me to the jewelry store and let me pick out a ring. They'd sit me on the counter, had my little white tassel go-go boots, and I would get to pick out a piece of jewelry, a ring or a necklace. It was really nice to be that love child, except I was always trying to please everyone. So I was really the good girl, right? Really good. What's wrong with that? Because I wasn't perfect. When I would do anything wrong, I started trying to hide that, and it became deceptive. I became deceptive. It started being easy to tell little white lies, like when they asked me, "Where's your new ring? Where's that beautiful pearl ring?" And I just told them I lost it. And when I had actually traded it to a girl down the street who was a little bit bigger and a little bit more intimidating, and I certainly didn't want to displease her, I traded my ring. And I was so intimidated by that girl anyway. But that's the first time I remember lying consciously, and I felt terrible. Regardless, without belaboring that story, lying became easier. And because I was such a good girl and had this innocent face, it was easy to get away with it. Now, I'm not talking about becoming a criminal or anything like that. It was mostly about making up stories about why I was late, where I was, who I was with, anything to avoid displeasing the person that was asking. They were mostly little white lies, but still deceptive. So interestingly, my highest value now in my life is integrity, which means to honor your word. That makes kind of sense in the light of this transition I'm getting ready to tell you about, that happened many years later and many years ago. I had a life-changing transition. All of that changed. All this, my life changed when I met someone who trusted me. They said they trusted me unconditionally, without any doubt that I could do no wrong. And once they said that, I had a split-second moment of transformation from being deceptive to being trustworthy, totally honest. And I have a book called, Change Your Word, Change Your Life, Split-Second Transformation, 31 Daily Practices, coming out this spring. That was 30-ish years ago. And I honestly don't recognize the me that was that person. I can't even fathom being a little liar at all. Who was that person? And I don't like to say the word honestly because it's redundant in my life. because who you say you are is who you are. And I say who I am is honest. And so it's a little redundant when I say honestly, it's kind of funny to me. And I'm going to just pause and look directly at you and say, if you were one of those persons that had deceptive tendencies to, I apologize with my core of my being right now. And I ask for grace. Thank you for that. I'm a bit bewildered now to why I decided to share this story. I really just don't know. But I believe that, maybe some of us fell into some of those little traps when we're small because we want to please. I know I remember, my daddy, I had to please him. I mean, they got divorced, but I did not want to do anything to just destroy their trust. And so because I did, then I would perhaps maybe lie about it occasionally. I'm not proud of this, right? But I'm very proud that once I understood that I was trustworthy, that I could be trustworthy, that I could honor my word in everything, I became what I believe a better person. So that contrast, this is where I told my life story. So I have this contrast of this little girl and why she became deceptive. And I have a moment in time where that shifted. That was a big transition. So actually, that's the story. Why did I tell it? I hope it helps somebody understand their own little transitions in life that may have made a difference. So I am moving on now to constants. They are constants in my life. And I'm assuming in yours that no matter what's going on, we just kind of hold on to. Some of them may be personality traits. Some of them may be people or things or books. I'm not sure. But there's in my life, there's some that really continuously, even to this day, are constants. So I'm going to bullet point them again, probably with comment on some of them, just to get them out there. One constant in my life is that I am super positive. I have a super positive attitude. And when going through this review recently, it's like, okay, in high school, I was like, I'm high on life. I don't need drugs. I'm good. At the 10-year reunion, finding out some of my friends had done some drugs and they never even asked me. It was like, I'm not, that's not a bad thing, but I just, it was like, I've got a positive attitude. So that's been a constant in my life. And I don't burn bridges is another constant. I always, if I break it up with my boyfriend or whoever, I try to maintain a cordial relationship at the least. I'm outrageously optimistic. And to this day, in these crazy times, I'm outrageously optimistic. We're in transitions like crazy right now. And that's who I am. I'm outrageously optimistic that the dust settles and we become a better world because we're talking like this. We're having these kind of conversations and maybe reminding each other that it's easier to be positive. It's better to be positive. And I don't make a lot of judgments like that, but I promise you, complaining doesn't help much. Anyway, back to the bullets. I'm extraordinarily grateful. I live in gratitude. I mean, in everything, give thanks. Every little thing, every big thing, every right thing, every wrong thing, every good thing, every bad thing. It's brought us to where we are right this second. So let's give thanks for it so we can take the next step and move forward. I have bold faith, no fear. Who I am is bold faith, no fear. I have said that for so many years that when I got robbed at gunpoint and I had no fear when I stepped towards them and said, "You need love," and they ran. That would be a good story in that book. Prayer, of course. And my prayer is asking with gratitude, believing that it's already done, and releasing it in order to receive. I believe that some of our prayers have been, we might not have been taught the way to really manifest. And so meditation is anything that's positive and personal development. How can I be a better person? My mama said, leave the world a better place. that's been a mantra of mine as well. Just, you know, be a good person, be kind, do the right thing. And another constant is I've had successful people willing to invest in me, which that has been one of my affirmations I've had. And it's the truth. I've had amazing mentors and people that invest in me. So those are some of my constants, along with, and I'm just going to show you, because typically the audience is women, women. And I ran across a book in the 90s that I have read inconsistently but constantly over the last couple of decades now, and it's called Simple Abundance, and it's by Sarah Van Bernock. But I've read it over and over and over again, and this version is revised, kind of like a diary. Anyway, I love Simple Abundance, and it's made a difference in my life. And in 2008, I went to this Zervita, the company that I started with in 08. And actually before that, my nutritional beverage of choice, they had, at the convention we had to launch that company, they gave out this little book called 30 Days to Victorious Living. Now it's dog-eared, it's underlined. I've read this book hundreds of times because there's a lot of months between 08 and 2023. Another book that I'm in the last couple of years that has helping me just stay grounded and balanced. And it's a philosophy book called The Daily Stoic. It's short, tiny little pages. It doesn't take much to give you food for thought for the day and to keep your mind on the right track. The book I've recommended most all my life, probably since 2008 as well, is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's a life-changing book. I highly recommend it. It's a book I've recommended most throughout my last couple of decades, almost. 2008, that's not decades, but long time. I love that book and The Four Agreements. Of course, the Bible and scriptures have been part of my journey, most certainly, as well. I'm grateful for that. Somehow or another, this topic of transitions took on a life of its own, because like I said, I had no idea I was going to be telling this secret story, this, truth about me. What started it is because I had, besides my 15-month-old granddaughter, I had 3 step grandkids here for spring break. I had, we've added a third dog, we've got a cat, and there's just a lot of comings and goings and ins and outs, and life keeps life. I'm transitions, even a third dog. And I don't know if you heard it in the very beginning, it kind of made a howl. I was like, oh no, not a beautiful dog, and I love all of that. I'm not saying not that I don't love it, but it is things to handle. Life keeps lifing. So I never would have guessed I would have been telling a tell-all story in my show today, because I started with that kind of transitions. So here we go. As I pray as we continue to navigate this journey called life, that especially in these really unsteady times, that our time together is meaningful and uplifting. Please know that I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your stories. I am open to loving you through these unsteady times. So one thing about the constancy of change is the constancy of love. You are loved. I'm sorry, I'm telling you now, you are loved exactly who you are and where you are. You are loved right now in this moment in time, no matter what your circumstances are. And if you don't know that or feel that or believe it, perhaps I can guide you towards feeling more worthy of God's love, infinite love. If that works for you, if that's you, find me, Charla, at charlaanderson.com. I'm open to hearing your story and lifting you up. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with me today. Let's just love where we are, and let's just live happily ever after, no matter where we are. I'm once again, I'm just so grateful for your time and honored and humbled that you would spend your time listening with and talking with me. And because we don't have any advertising when women, I do, I just want to mention things that I love. So I would never advertise something that I don't love or believe in. Doesn't work for me. But Win-Win Women has a platform that you may be interested in or know someone that has a global voice. Also, there's an investment opportunity for investors to look at that as well. And if you go to my winwinwomen.com, actually, if you go to my website, charlaanderson.com, a banner on the bottom of the first page, homepage has links to some of these things I'm telling you about right now. The second one, Win-Win Women, amazing. Horse Platform Academy, amazing. St. George, as I call him, has helped me create that website. I own it. It's mine. I know how to fix it. I know how to take care of it. He's incredible support when I need help. And there's an affiliate link if you need a landing page, website, whatever. He's the tech of the techs. I love him so much. Third is my nutrition beverage of choice, which is Zeal for Life. Love, 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 love it. That link is in that banner as well on my homepage, charlaanderson.com's nutrition at its finest, superfood nutrition. And we're here each week live on winwinwomen.tv and soon to be on all those other platforms I mentioned earlier. My website is charlaanderson.com. And thank you for joining me today. And always choose joy.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show. Encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.